We have breaking news in the NBA. Jalen Green has signed a rookie extension with the Houston Rockets, and it's a rookie extension built in a way we've never really seen before, especially for a former number 2 overall pick. The Rockets were unwilling to give both Jalen Green and supposedly right now Alperen Şengün rookie max extensions, and I've been talking at length about how Houston has continued to prioritize and value flexibility for this upcoming offseason. The 2025 NBA offseason is Rafael Stone's real moment to strike, and everything he has done has pointed in that direction. Going to get the Phoenix Suns draft picks, maintaining flexibility, the contracts that will all be expiring, Jae'Sean Tate, Steven Adams, potentially Fred VanVleet, and a few others as well for Houston. And a lot of it really hinged on both Jalen Green and Alperen Şengün and their cap holds. Alperen Şengün being outside of the lottery, being a pick not in the top 10 of his own draft, meant he had a very small cap hold, very similar to Tyrese Maxey with the Philadelphia 76ers a year ago. Remember, Daryl Morey hesitated to pay Tyrese Maxey not because he wasn't deserving of a contract, but in order to maintain flexibility. It allowed Philadelphia to go sign Paul George this past offseason, and Houston is operating very similarly. Jalen Green, however, was a little bit different though, and part of why he could not get a max rookie extension was not only because maybe he wasn't deserving of it, but because of the overall cap hit it would provide going into his contract for next season. The Rockets and Jalen Green found a very unique way to solve that issue here. Let's get on to the reporting here from Shams Charania. Houston Rockets guard Jalen Green has agreed to a 3-year, $106 million rookie contract extension with a player option in the third season, providing ability to increase Green's career earning potential. So this is a real W for Jalen Green for a few reasons. One, we weren't sure if he was going to get a huge, ginormous payday. I was very optimistic that someone would pay him, whether that would have been Brooklyn or Houston. It was pretty clear someone out in the market would be willing to give Jalen Green a pretty hefty contract, just given his pedigree as a prospect. And at stretches of time, we've seen some real flashes of him showcasing some of that star potential that a lot of people bought into pre-draft in his own draft class. This is a very creative deal though, because it gets Jalen Green some guaranteed money for at least these next 2 upcoming seasons, with an annual average value a little bit over $35 million a year. It also gives Jalen Green an early out. So after 2 years, he could opt out, and let's say he really proves himself over these next couple of seasons, he could go out then and then renegotiate with Houston potentially on a real max contract, or go out as an unrestricted free agent into the market as a very young player. Remember, given his age currently, he could be going out into an unrestricted free agency market as a 24, 25-year-old player with a lot of room to still continue to grow after this next contract, but also for a team to get his prime years under, a 4 or 5 year contract, depending on how it all plays out. But part of why I really love this deal for Houston, and again, it comes back to those cap holds I've been talking about at length here. Let's go over to my profile. Links in the description, by the way, if you guys want to go follow me over on Twitter. I break down a lot of stuff over on Twitter. I tweet all the time. I think this is a home run deal for Houston for a few reasons. First of all, this maintains their financial flexibility for this upcoming offseason. You might be saying, wait a minute, I thought their financial flexibility came from not paying Alperen Şengün and not paying Jalen Green. We'll get to that in a second here. Based on this, I still think they can be large players this upcoming offseason. I have talked about them being a real landing spot for Devin Booker. I also think, depending on what happens in Milwaukee, how the Bucks season goes, Giannis Antetokounmpo might become available over the next 12 to 24 months as well. He would be a fascinating target for the Rockets as well, who have the assets, they have the draft picks, they have the young players who would be capable of really making a real package for a superstar type player. They now have Green's contract as well. So not only does Houston keep their flexibility for this upcoming offseason, they also have the ability to trade Jalen Green's contract now, and that's something they wouldn't have had last year. They would have had to try and work out a sign and trade. Those are always a little bit more difficult because you need the player to agree as well. With him under contract now, the Rockets could freely trade him if they're able to find a package, and if he does ultimately break out, it is a bargain deal in my opinion for the next 2 years. And this is why it's a real home run. So you might be saying, again, I thought you were talking about keeping the flexibility open. Jalen Green's cap hold this upcoming offseason, since he was a former number 2 overall pick, would have been $37.5 million. The annual average value on this contract is around, like I said just a minute or two ago, around $35 million. So Houston, not only do they get Jalen Green under contract as a tradable asset over the next couple of years, and if things go well, it's just a bargain. If he proves to be a max-ish type of player, a rookie max caliber player, remember, guys who have gotten it this offseason have been Evan Mobley, Cade Cunningham, guys who have also had their fair share of either injury concerns or on-court struggles at certain moments. Now, I'm not saying Jalen Green has been as good as either of those two guys. I do think Mobley has been better than Jalen Green. I do think Cade Cunningham has been better than Jalen Green. But I do think that if Houston gets the best version of Jalen Green over these next couple of years, that $35 million a year mark is not a bad one at all for them. But it also gives them that trade flexibility, because now they can either trade him in a deal for someone like a Devin Booker or someone like a Giannis Antetokounmpo. He would be their primary trade asset in terms of salary going out the door. Very valuable for them. And also, since the number is south of that cap hold, they actually opened up about $2.5 million of added flexibility for this upcoming offseason. I still assume the Rockets will not give Alperen Şengün a rookie max extension presently. I think the Rockets and Şengün will wait until this upcoming offseason, but this is a home run for the Houston Rockets presently. I think this is a good value for Jalen Green. I like that he gets his guaranteed money here. It gives him a potential out in 2 seasons. In 3 seasons, because this is an extension off of his rookie deal, remember. But I think presently for Houston and presently for Jalen Green, it's a win-win for both sides. Green gets to really get his guaranteed money now, make sure he has a successful career in terms of his money gained throughout his playing career. Obviously, that's one of the most important things for players to consider. And for the Rockets, it adds to their flexibility instead of diminishes it. Part of why I've been talking at length about why Houston would not give rookie max extensions to either Jalen Green or Alperen Şengün. I think the Rockets have done a tremendous job managing their cap space, managing their future flexibility, and going into next offseason, the Rockets are still going to be huge players because of where this number came in on this contract. It actually increased their flexibility, not only from a trade component, which we've already talked about multiple times, but also from a free agency component. If they do allow Jae'Sean Tate, Steven Adams, Fred VanVleet to walk, they could be real players in free agency. I'm not exactly sure if there's a player out there that makes sense, but theoretically, if they did let those guys go, they would have also a cap slot to acquire other players via trade into that cap space as well. So it doesn't necessarily mean just signing a free agent. They have the draft picks to trade. They have some young pieces they could include in deals too. The Rockets are going to be a fascinating team to watch. I still think they're one of the dark horse teams over the next 12 months. And I think they're going to be pretty good this year too. So if you're a Rockets fan, there's a lot to be excited about. If you're an NBA fan, you got to be worried about the Rockets over the next couple of years. A lot of young talent and a lot of flexibility. Rafael Stone has already shown the ability to go into free agency, improve his roster when he brought in Fred VanVleet, Dylan Brooks. Now in the next 12 months, he's going to have a chance to strike once again, and it's going to be a bigger fish than anyone like Fred VanVleet or Dylan Brooks. He's targeting better players. He's targeting high-level players. I'm talking top 10, top 15 players in the world. That's who the Rockets are going to be targeting over the next 12 months. Watch out for Houston. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, leave a like, subscribe, and we'll catch you in the very next Utility Sports video.